Greetings, Crocoduck Army! We've heard quite a lot about populism in the last couple years, both the left-wing and the right-wing versions of it. Populism is defined as a political doctrine that proposes that the common people are exploited by a privileged elite, and which seeks to change that. Within populism, there are very different ideas, though, about exactly who is to blame for this situation and why. For many Trump supporters, the elite are the media and the government, even if it's Republicans who control the government. They see the establishment Republicans' failure to impose severe restrictions on who is here based on religious, ethnic, or national lines as part of what has made America less great. In other words, to many Trump supporters, it's the fault of foreigners. Many establishment Republicans know that this is foolish, but of course, to Trump fans, they're elites too, so their objections can be dismissed. If someone calls me elite, my first instinct is to thank them. This is a trend that certainly existed before Sarah Palin, but she popularized it more recently in politics, especially with the right wing, and many others have run with it. The idea that people with facts are not to be trusted, and that people know things in their hearts and don't need pointy-headed intellectuals or experts with big words to tell them things, are very closely held ideas to some people. That kind of talk is a direct message to those who are less educated that they are listening to them, that they feel their pain, and that they'll soothe their wounded pride when liberals or whoever else insults them by fact-checking their beliefs. I've heard this criticism leveled at me before, too, that because I have an education and opinions, despite being very willing to engage in civil conversation with anyone, once you go too far down the road in post-factual society, inevitably the scapegoats get more and more bizarre. First it's the establishment, or the dreaded two-party system, or the rich, and then maybe it's the Skull and Bones Society, the Illuminati, or various other secret cabals, real or imagined. Once you get into that territory, you're about half a step from blaming the lizard people, or accusing the government of staging gun massacres like Alex Jones has. Speaking of the alternative media, Milo had a pretty bad week a couple weeks ago. The darling of the alt-right had scored a big book deal, had his already well-established cushy job at Breitbart, the home of the alt-right, and a speaking engagement at CPAC, the big yearly conference of conservatives. He said some questionable things about pedophilia, and he lost all three of those things. In the midst of Trump's almost daily attacks on how the news media is horrible, and even accusing him of being an enemy of the people, Milo fans and even some anti-SJW liberals accused him of being unfairly targeted by the media, playing right into the Trump narrative of the world where every stupid thing that he says or does that is reported is the fault of the people talking about his stupidity and not his own fault. Personally, I don't much care what Milo says and wouldn't have cared either way about his job prospects. The people who accuse the media of doing this to Milo, though, were flat wrong. Breitbart and CPAC are outlets that hate the actual media, just like Trump does. So they were bowing to conservative pressure, or just looking for an excuse to torpedo his career. I think some liberals forget that the evangelical crowd still has significant power. It is also looking more clear every day that the Trump administration is going to go after recreational pot use in states where it was legalized. Some liberals who don't care about much of anything when it comes to the major issues this country faces have finally decided that it's this injustice that they will stand up against, to which I say, better late than never. Trump has also promised to gut other federal programs to fund a massive military expansion. Every day, new revelations come up about Trump camp insiders talking to Russia during the campaign, like Attorney General Jeff Sessions, who had initially denied it under oath. Oh, and Trump has also claimed that Obama tapped his phones. But I know, her emails. I do think some people who initially didn't really care if he won are slowly coming around to the realization that his crazy campaign rhetoric was not just rhetoric, and he's truly a paranoid lunatic. Get involved and put your congressional representatives on notice that you're watching them. Never underestimate the power of a determined individual in a pressure situation.
Justice reigns from above!
Double 10 seconds.
Operating at maximum efficiency.